If my easy life in Mexico were to get easier, I would be able to go fishing right there, which I can go fishing, but that water is so cold. And I can get a kayak, a blow-up kayak here. I just saw one for $100. But I would really regret it if I fell into this water. This is icy cold water here. This is not Cancun. We would go fishing and just eat fish, because you can't survive on just fish unless it's a certain kind of fish. Because there's been people that have done this and they died because they're not getting what they need out of the fish. But we'd go fishing there and have our sustenance and maybe take a bite out of these dunes. Oops, no, don't do that. For your greens, because you need your greens. And maybe grind up some seashells for the calcium. I don't know, maybe eat the fish bones like Eskimos do. You know, you figure it out. And you could literally just have an even easier life. Title of the video, My Easy Life in Mexico Just Got Easier. Hey, welcome back to Frank and Angie's Retire Early Lifestyle. Easy life in Mexico. Step into my office. It's work time. If life was easy, who am I to say that? If life was easy, I'd be stepping into my office on a sand dune next to the ocean breeze on a sunny, clear day. It's clear as anything. If life was easy. Hey, what's your beef? Where's the chicken? No beef in this video. Chicken only, eggs only. There's a transformation going on. We all know it. It seems like as long as I've been on this earth, there's always been some sort of trend. That's what it's normally known as, is a trend. Like back in the 80s, it was the mega trends. And the mega trends back then, there were two of them. I don't recall way back then, but one of them was people moving to the South. Now back then, moving to the South was actually moving to the South in the US. Now, well, I should say, one of the later mega trends back in the 2000s was that the New South was actually going even further south, and that would be across the border into Mexico, Central America, and South America. And so here we are, part of that mega trend again, or just trend, because back then they just started talking about it, and therefore at that time it was considered a mega trend. It was this big trend. And I think they're still big trends. They're all mega trends, they're huge trends. And so we're seeing a reversal now of that trend. Which one? The one where people were going south. And you saw the Rams, Retire Abroad, media and magazines, which we used to talk about a lot, but we haven't too much lately, because they're so immaterial and irrelevant to the way we do things anyways. Speaking of which, I just had the pleasure of, I have someone in the membership area that was telling me how useful and important the information that he was getting in the membership area is. So I really appreciate you reaching out and telling me that. Thank you. But yeah, the way we do things, Rams are irrelevant. However, there are little trends within the mega trends. Sometimes they're created by special interests in order, for profit. And I don't recall what the special interest was for encouraging people to move into the South. I think that the South was cheaper, and I know that we did it. We moved to the South of USA, from out west, and at some time it was cheaper. I mean, there was a point where we got there and it's like all the cheap homes are already all sold and gone, because there had been people, there was a trend already that, all this demand had shown up and all that. So that's what propels some of these trends is let's just call it, the greed factor or a profit factor. Profit in and of itself isn't necessarily greed. But that's a different conversation. But my point was that these trends that were pushed by these Rams to come further south of the border, there seems to be another trend within that trend, and that is a lot of people staying on the sidelines and a lot of people not going for it at all, although there are still those people that still want to go for it. So these trends aren't dying out completely, which incidentally the WHO has come out and said that, yeah, these countries shouldn't be asking for proof of a certain medical procedure paperwork in order to allow tourists and such or people to enter their countries. And the CDC has said the same thing about testing people that aren't visually ill or whatever. So both of these agencies that are understood to be, there's a reason why they're there. So, I mean, somebody's not listening to them. But apparently, no, nobody's listening to them because they're still doing it. Case in point, Ecuador, I mean, they put on this show of saying that, yeah, you know, we've changed our mind. And by the way, the two agencies I just mentioned, the reason they said they were doing it was because it wasn't good for tourism and it wasn't good for business and the economies. Gee whiz, did they just figure it out? And then places like Ecuador are saying, oh, you won't need the paperwork, but you do still need to do the test, and it has to be this way. It totally sold out to China. I mean, Ecuador and China are in bed. The president over there, Lasso, is a total China puppet. I mean, you know, so I'm just saying this because we're talking about these mega trends and these small trends within the mega trends. And so there are still people looking to go abroad. A lot of people are on the sidelines looking for everything to die off, but you know, and it may very well die off. It looks like it's doing it in stages and in sections, but these people are still there, so they're still there. So you know, there's a certain kind of caveat emptor. There's a warning. There's a warning. Be careful, because they don't want to abandon this idea. They're just kind of scaling it back and giving these funny reasons and stuff, you know. And it just goes back to the other micro trend that is developing into a larger trend, being that some people aren't going to go abroad at all, even though there's some people that are waiting it out and just itching to go abroad. I'll tell you, once you get into the travel thing, it's something that, like, once we started traveling in the US in our 30s, I didn't want to quit, but our children came along, and so we became homesteaders and stay-at-home dad and all that. But that's because we were raising a family, and you know, you give your children stability and that kind of thing. I know there's traveling families and such, but at some point, children, you know, they like to feel secure and have a steady homestead and all that. Just to say that we go through stages in life, and a lot of people are saying they're not even going to travel, and they're just going to leave the cities and they're going to go out in the country. And that's another micro trend or even mega trend. Yeah, I was talking about homesteading in a different video, and that's where, you know, it's just, you're seeing the trends develop and you're seeing people doing it. And usually these trends, they stay in motion. Once in motion, they stay in motion. And there's people that see the writing on the wall. That's my point. And so where does our easy life in Mexico fit into all that? You know, it's like, yeah, this is a great easy life, but going forward, if you're not somebody that's burying your head in the sand and you're going, wait a minute, I see the writing on the wall, and you know, you hear all these good things, like those two agencies saying these wonderful things and saying silly things like it's not good for the economy. Not because it's not good for the economy. Of course it's not good for the economy. I said that over a year ago when we were in Ecuador, that these kinds of regulations have never worked in the past. Why, historically, why would they all of a sudden work now? That was the point of my video. But the fact that it did take them that long, and you see, everybody knows what's going on in other places, no need to go into detail. If my easy life in Mexico were to get easier, I would be able to go fishing right there, which I can go fishing, but the water is so cold. And I can get a kayak, a blow-up kayak here. I just saw one for $100. But I would really regret it if I fell into this water. This is icy cold water here. This is not Cancun. Cold. Although it's really nice out here. It's almost too warm for long sleeves. And yeah, but you know, if things were just ideal, we would go fishing and just eat fish, because you can't survive on just fish unless it's a certain kind of fish. because there's been people that have done this and they died because they're not getting what they need out of the fish. But we'd go fishing there and have our sustenance and maybe take a bite out of these dunes. Oops, no, don't do that. For your greens, because you need your greens. And maybe grind up some seashells for the calcium. I don't know, maybe eat the fish bones like Eskimos do. You know, you figure it out. And you could literally just have an even easier life. All right, and then you wake up and say, my goodness, I've been dreaming a lot more at night than I ever used to before, ever since I started drinking that banana peel tea. I hope you got something out of that. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for coming to the channel. Let us know in the comments what you want to hear. Bye.